Hello everybody. 1,000 subscribers. Thank you all so very much. Never thought it would go that far, especially since, well, all I put up is literally just jams. So that's pretty incredible. Hopefully I'll be able to actually work out proper tracks soon, like with structure and everything. And yeah, we'll see. A few potentials are coming up there. Not making any promises, but yeah. Thanks all very much for subscribing. Very chuffed there. Today I decided to just, give you guys all a walkthrough through my setup. There have been regularly questions in various Facebook groups how to route audio to effect units. Or MIDI connections and all that stuff. So, my setup is about as basic as it gets, which means it should be easy enough to keep track of what's going where and how it works. Right, so this is my very, very basic setup. Just a basic 61 key MIDI controller. Actually, it's not even MIDI, it's just USB. That's what you get when you order without looking. This is my amplifier. It's just an old Pioneer amp that I liberated out of a pub while it was closing, so else it would have landed in the skip. You'll see those two knobs are not what they are supposed to be. That's because they are now on my JDXI on the filters. That way I can sweep it just by tiny increments and I have a bit more control over this whole thing. Yeah, so this is my JDXI. It has the new awesome overlays that Roland decided to give away for free to every JDXI owner. Great stuff, Roland. This is brilliant. Doing this for free is just amazing. Brilliant customer support there. My microbrute, the limited edition. This is getting a lot of use. I use those things basically all the time. You can do some amazing sounds with it. Then I have the Volca sample, which most of the time just, I use for percussions, and the Volca keys, which I don't really use as much as I should. Hopefully that'll change in the future. I love the low end you get out of this. It sounds really nice and punchy, whereas the microbrute, I don't know, so far I haven't really managed to get this kind of clean sound as I get from the Volca keys. I think it's the filters, like they are just really nice and warm. My Beatstep Pro, again, not used as much as I probably could or should, or as other people use it. I don't really use it to actually play. I just literally run a sequence on it and that's about it. The whole thing then runs through my Behringer mixing desk. That is the Xenix X1622. I'm happy with it. More channels would have been nice, but for under €200, there really is no point complaining. My effect unit, the Lexicon MX200, it's insane. I love this thing. You have effectively two individual effects, channel 1 and channel 2, which you can run together or separately. So this is where I might as well start then. So the Lexicon is filtered, or is fed, I should say, by the auxiliary. So whatever synth channel, so this is my Volca keys, this is the microbrute, this is the Volca keys, and here's the Lexicon coming back, channel 1 and channel 2. So I can pan those left and right if I have like stereo delays going on, Or if I have, like, for example, I go to pitch shift. So this one now is a -12 pitch shift. So I have the pitch shift coming in on one end, nice for some additional bass. And I have the delay or whatever else coming in on the other channel. So in this case, I would probably mono them both. So I have 2 individual effects. Then this one is the internal effect, which I mostly just use the reverb of. It's nice. It's not a shimmer reverb. It's God knows it's not a big sky, which I really would love to have, but yeah, money. So then this is my JDXI coming in through those channels. Now, the reason I do it like this is because on channel 1, 2, 3, and 4, I have compressors, which is nice for the bassy synths, the microbrute and the Volca keys. And also you have a sweepable EQ, which means you can actually boost a certain frequency range and also give it like a filter sweep effect, which is very nice to have. The JDXI is a bit more refined by itself with the supernatural sound engine and doesn't really need much more processing than what I have here, which is basically high, mid, low, mid, and bass. So then on those 2 channels is the Volca sample coming in, left and right. Since the sample actually has a pan function, you can have an instrument coming in on either channel, which is nice. That way I can, for example, just for kick drums and so forth, it's just nice and clean. But then for other stuff, I can have delays on this, which gives you more freedom, allows you more room to play with. The laptop for various soft synths or whatever I might be using, or when I'm just sitting here and watching movies or what, comes in on those 2 channels. And that's basically all my setup. I rarely ever use the sub, which is an individual output you can use if you want to send your signal somewhere else. Like you can actually choose for each channel to send it to the subgroups, which will then be fed from an additional 2 outputs there in the back, and you can send that anywhere you feel like it. So to recap, synthesizers are coming in through the channels directly. Then auxiliary 1 is being sent out from here. Now it has a direct return as well, fixed assigned to it, which can then be regulated here through the returns. But I prefer using actual channels because then I can, if I use delay, I can get rid of the bass because you don't really want your kick drum bouncing all over the place. So you have a bit more control over it. My MIDI interface is the Beatstep Pro. I run the Sequencer 1 usually to the microbrute, which means I can use it to transpose sequences that are running on the microbrute internally, or I can actually just use it to straightforward play a sequence from the brute if I just have it not run anything. The second sequencer I use for the Volca keys, which is nice because the Volca keys can actually do poly mode, which means I can run one sequence inside the Volca keys and then have it play additional notes over it. So very nice for combinations, but also it allows me to create a 64-step sequence here with slides and gate ties and all kinds of stuff. And then if I just hit record on the Volca keys while the sequence here plays, I literally bounce this sequence into here, provided the flux mode is activated, which means it doesn't quantize notes to the 16 steps that are available here. Very, very handy. The Volca sample is just literally synced from the Volca keys in order to make this MIDI compatible, you need to get the RetroKits cable, which I honestly haven't yet felt the need for. If you get that cable, you can actually use the Walker keys, the Walker sample, as a drum machine on MIDI 10, for example, to play all notes or all individual instruments on channel 10. Right now, the way it works is you literally have channel 1, channel 2, channel 3, channel... It's just wasting. It gobbles up all your MIDI channels. The JDXI is not really controlled via the BeatStep Pro, although I can. All I have to do is just, change the MIDI channel to 1, 2, 3, whatever. Now, the exception is the drums running on MIDI channel 10. With this, I control the the JDXI's drum kit, which is really, really nice. You got all the Roland drum sounds in there. So how do I do this? How is this all hooked up? Right, I go from the MIDI output here, gotta go up here now, and to my MIDI through box. And from here, I feed a MIDI signal to the JDXI, to the BeatStep Pro, to the Microbrute, to the Walker keys, and this one is going to the lexicon. That way I can actually have my delays automatically synced to my MIDI speed, which is very, very useful. Right, the USB next. My laptop is the USB heart that controls everything. Now, if I do multi-tracking, I can get a direct audio signal from the Roland over USB, which means I can have that as its own sound device in my DAW. I can use the USB output from the mixing desk, although most of the time I just use the audio input. I haven't really yet found any advantage in using the USB output there. So what do I have connected via USB? A lot. This is my little USB interface. So I've got obviously the MIDI controller. I've got the Roland is connected to USB. The Microbrute is connected to USB. Obviously the BeatStep Pro is connected to USB. The lexicon as well, because you can access internal parameters and actually you play around with your reverbs via USB. But also it helps to sync also, like instead of the MIDI. And then I've got an LPD, like little controller that runs over the USB. My camera, which is up there, that I use for recording or for streaming, that's obviously going in via USB as well. Also my mouse and my keyboard. So yeah, 11-port USB hub absolutely is a must. Those two, another splitter and a merger, they are for future use. If I ever get a proper proper MIDI keyboard, they will come in very handy to use, because then I will actually be able to play the Walker keys, for example, or the Microbrute from whatever controller I might have then. And that is basically all my setup contains. Now, came up for the Microbruters. I came up with some interesting, with an interesting way to modulate it. I'm using the headphone output from the Roland, and you can feed that then into, well, any of the CV inputs, which will give you some interesting modulations. Now, to actually make it really noticeable, send it into the pitch. And okay, it's just kicking now. Okay, it's not the best preset now to actually demonstrate this, but you can already hear it. Like there's some. Gives you some modulation. Again, thanks very much for subscribing. Thanks very much for watching. Hopefully, I was able to give some ideas, or bring some useful information across on how to set up your gear, how to come up with interesting results. I'm always looking for interesting results, and believe me, I don't always get them. So it just requires tenacity. Sit down, play around, and when you find something, record it, stream it, take it down, whatever. Just hold on to it and work with it. And here's to another 1,000 subscribers and to many more good tracks. Thanks very much. Bye.